Next up for us here on Racing TV will be HAYDOCK, the 205, race 3, the Sky Bet Supreme Trial, Rosington Main Novices Hurdle. 9 hurdles to be jumped. And, 6-5 odds against Mr. Fisher. He was an odds-on chance a little bit earlier today.
He was. I suppose you could say the form's been boosted from Kempton by the Thomas Derby winning at big odds on a few moments ago. But look, he's going to go off favourite. He's solid enough and getting a little bit more solid, but Bright Forecast has definitely been not without support. And even when he won at 20-1 at Newbury, there were a lot of people cheering with 50-1 tickets that day. He followed up at Leicester as favourite. So, yeah, competitive at the front of the market, certainly this race.
Yep, 6-5, Mr. Fisher. Let's take a look at him and the others in the paddock with Niall.
The Sky Bet Rossington Main is up next. It's a Grade 2 contest over 2 miles. Mr. Fisher's going to be your favourite here. He's just entering the paddock. He's last of all to come in. He's a very laid-back individual. We've been down and watched him getting tacked up. He's the son of Jeremy. He's got a really good walk to him. He's impressive. 2 stars at Kempton. First time out in a bumper and last time out in Boxing Day over hurdles. And the suspicion is that will work out to be a strong piece of form. The second and third look well above average individuals. He's a well-made athletic type. In behind's got a horse who's got a bit more size to him. Esprit de Large for Evan Williams. He was really impressive last time out in an ordinary race at Utoxeter. He ran out a ready winner, and the disparity in the bet, one sort of was even money best price this morning, the other one was 10-1. I thought it should be a little bit closer than that there. I think he's a horse that's got a big future. See how he gets on. If we swing back over to the right hand side, the white face coming to us is number 2, Bright Forecast, who's 2 from 2. He's a horse that'll probably put the pace of this race. He was good when making all at Leicester. And he's a horse who, on BHA ratings, he's only £3 inferior to the likes of Mr. Fisher, so he's not out of the list by any stretch of the imagination. In behind him is the Nigel Twist and Davis horse, number 5, Muratello. He's got useful form in his native France. We didn't get to see him last time out due to unforeseen circumstances. The race was voided here at Haydock Park when he was still going nicely, but the race hadn't fully developed. Interesting to see how he goes on, but he's in quite deep this afternoon. And then number 4 in the red is Adi de Garde for Dan Skelton, who ran well in Newcastle last time out, and interesting that the trainer is stepping him up to this Grade 2 contest. So let's look at the main protagonists for the 205, the Sky Bet Supreme Trial, Rossington Main Novices Hurdle.
Lovely, thank you, Niall. And runners are down at the start. So Mr. Fisher, the favourite for Nicky Henderson, Sam.
Yeah, and I just wonder whether the drift is... There's a couple of contributory factors. A, 1 or 2 of Nicky's horses perhaps haven't scoped as well as he might have liked and haven't taken up their engagements this weekend, and B, Bright Forecast is probably one of the pace angles, so maybe that's why they've narrowed and become tighter together in the market. And of course Bright Forecast looks a bright prospect. Indeed,
but potentially a lot of smart prospects, I'm guessing here. Muratello is interesting listening to Niall there. We just don't know how good he will be considering what happened last time out.
Yeah, and of the outsiders, both of which, well, not the complete outsiders, but Esprit de Large and Muratello are both attracting a little bit of support. So it's definitely not a match, this. Muratello obviously in the voided race, and Esprit de Large, I think it was Utox, so that one won as well. But he's stepping up in grade here. And as we speak, I suppose the support is going back a little bit to Mr. Fisher. Watching exchanges certainly impressed me when he won at Kempton, and yeah, might have been a good field that day.
11-10 the field then. Adi de Garde is a big price now at 20-1. He's a grand looking type, and second start for Dan Skelton, a bumper winner for Nicky Richards this time last year. His second run since he's had the wind up, but looking to the betting seemingly unfancied for this.
It was a pretty slowly run race at Newcastle. Something had to finish second to Champagne Platinum, but he's a nice physical specimen. He's obviously had 1 or 2 issues with his wind, but you know, he's the type of horse that you could see, you know, being placed to win a nice little handicap somewhere, staying handicapped somewhere in time, perhaps.
So here we go for the Supreme Trial. Currently around 14-1, Mr. Fisher. He's now even money, 14-1 for the Supreme.
And the momentum is definitely with him.
So strong favourite again. Let's get across and enjoy this one with Stuart Machin.
The white-faced Bright Forecast to the 4. As they close in on starter Seamus O'Neill. Stuart Turner in the background, marshalling at ground level. Flags are raised. They're off with Bright Forecast bouncing out in front on the run to the first in this Sky Bet Supreme Trial Grade 2 contest. And Bright Forecast establishes himself a couple of lengths clear as they prepare to rise to short price favourite Mr. Fisher, the white jacket. Esprit de Large in the raw blue hurdling fluently. And then Tricks or Trails, the rank outsider, in the pink. Miratillo towards the far running rail. And Idée de Garde on the extreme left. Just a little awkward at the opening flight. Over the second they go, and Idée de Garde clouted that one. It's not been especially proficient at either of the first couple of obstacles. As Bright Forecast and David Bass lead to the last in the line up the straight first time. They hop over with a 3-length advantage. Idée de Garde was much better there. Mr. Fisher, meanwhile, continues to track the early pace with Esprit de Large and Adam Wedge in third. And then Idée de Garde racing wide of Miratillo, and Tricks and Trails, the big priced outsider, in touch at this still very early stage as they head into the paddock turn. Longish run then to the first of the 3 flights on the far side. And Bright Forecast just running a little wide off the bend and half thinking about ducking out there. He perhaps spotted the exit back to the saddling boxes. David Bass was wise to the move. Bright Forecast remains in front. He hasn't forfeited his advantage, but briefly an anxious moment or two as he just had a little bit of a think about heading back prematurely to where he came from. But poise recovered. He leads to the first of the trio of flights in the back, pursued by Mr. Fisher and Esprit de Large second and third, and then Miratillo and Daryl Jacob Green Jacket ahead of Idée de Garde and Tricks and Trails, approaching the halfway point of this Grade 2 prize. And Bright Forecast leading Mr. Fisher on the near side of Esprit de Large, little separating that pair for second and third. 3 or 4 lengths away to Miratillo, then Idée de Garde with the black sleeves, and finally Tricks and Trails. Head towards the last on the far side. 4 out, but it's still a long way from home. And Bright Forecast, despite that scare on the bend, continues to dictate. Just got in tight to that one, bunny hopped. Mr. Fisher travelling smoothly, shadowed by Esprit de Large, Adam Wedge in the raw blue silks. Miratillo in touch now in fourth, and a gap has opened up to Tricks and Trails and Idée de Garde, who's upside T. Left-handed they go, now well inside the last 5.5 furlongs. Bright Forecast has made every inch so far. Esprit de Large wide of Mr. Fisher, only a length and a half down on the leader, and Miratillo sitting in their slipstream as they straighten for the third last. Bright Forecast now just being asked for more in front, trying to shake off the pursuers. Mr. Fisher has yet to be popped the question, is now beginning to breeze up to the leader's quarters. Esprit de Large and Miratillo right behind them over the third last. Bright Forecast, a slight error there in third place from Esprit de Large, and now Mr. Fisher is shaken up by James Bowen to come and challenge Bright Forecast, who continues to run on pretty doggedly in front. Here's the second last, Mr. Fisher, upside, a little bit awkward. Bright Forecast trying to raise another effort, but Mr. Fisher now, between the final 2 flights, moves on. He goes a couple of lengths clear from Bright Forecast. Here's the last, Mr. Fisher, only a length up on landing. Bright Forecast is rallying pretty pluckily to the cause. Miratillo is staying on in third. They've got 200 yards to cover. Mr. Fisher now beginning to extend his advantage over Bright Forecast. He's having to be woken up in the closing stages. He's still very much a work in progress, but he's a promising recruit, and it's a 4th success in this race for the champion trainer as Mr. Fisher sees off Bright Forecast with Miratillo in third, and then Esprit de Large in fourth, and these 4 were clear of the other 2.
Mr. Fisher has won, and another